This is so, you know what, dude? I've never done. I don't do this in front of people. It's so awkward. You know what I mean?
But I will hold your hand through the whole thing.
You'll hold my hand.
I'll hold your hand.
All right, perfect. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Seeum and Jeeum experience. We'll be reviewing The Gorge, released. Oh fuck! I already fucked up.
You idiot.
Yeah, I know. Hello.
Everybody.
All right. All right.
Clip it. Clip
No,
it.
Dan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CM and GM experience. Well, today we'll be reviewing The Gorge, a 2025 film by Scott Derrickson. So, Joe, GM, do you
Yeah.
have any personal anticipations? Why did you want to watch this film? Why?
Um. Yeah. So I started off curious because I was seeing like the zip lining clips on TikTok.
Hmm,
Um. And then I kind of like checked Letterbox quick, and I saw that the movie was getting like review bombed like terribly.
okay. Yep.
And you and I sometimes we like to dabble in terrible movies.
Hmm.
And we watched it, and it was not terrible.
No.
So I anticipated it to be bad. I was curious. I was a little nervous, but I was blown away by how wrong everybody was on Letterboxd.
Hmm. So I also saw it on TikTok. I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know anything about it. I gotta be honest. Anya Taylor-Joy puts me off on movies. I don't really look to watch anything with her in it. But I did constantly see the rope scene as well, and that did get me interested. And so I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot. And it pleasantly surprised me. I'm not gonna lie, it did.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Hmm. So
Bud, you want to give us a quick spoiler-free summary for those who haven't seen the movie?
yeah, yeah. So you've got Miles Teller who plays Levi, and Anya Taylor-Joy who plays Drasa. They're two highly trained snipers, appointed to guard towers on opposite sides of a massive gorge lined with turrets, lined with sensors, and they're not too sure what's in it. They are going to slowly start to unravel the mystery and find romance and love in it, something that neither of them feel like they deserve. Um, Suspenseful, romance, uh, slow at the start, I'd think, but
Yeah, I'd agree.
towards the end, I think it really picks up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Let's see. Do you have anything to say about the performances of Miles Teller or Anya Taylor Joy?
I think they were great.
Mm,
I think they did a good job bouncing off each other. I think Miles takes the cake. He plays a kind of reclusive character.
mm-hmm.
Um, he really doesn't think he deserves love, and even in the opening of the movie, they're asking him, is anybody gonna miss you or anything like that? And he's like, no, I got nothing. I have nobody. Um, and then Anya Taylor Joy's Draza kind of bounces off that where she's kind of in the same boat. But as soon as she sees Levi from across the gorge, she's kind of, she's definitely trying to crack that shell.
Yeah, she was
And
smitten right away. I actually,
yeah,
one thing I do like is that for once it was the female character pining after the male character. I think more, which usually you see it. I feel like usually you see
yeah,
the male going after the female. So I thought
yeah.
that
As
was an
soon as
interesting
soon as she
twist.
saw him, she went in for it.
She had her family, her father, right? Or did he just
Yep,
pass away at the start? I don't.
yep. He passed. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
He kind of told her to go
Yeah,
for it. Yeah. Um, I think we already talked about it a little bit earlier though, but the pacing, I think it was pretty good. I enjoyed that they gave us time to breathe with the characters, get introduced to them, see how they handle situations. We got to see a little bit of their lives on the tower. I wish we saw more personally day to day because at times they
yeah,
just jump by
yeah,
months.
yeah. I
Um,
agree.
and then at the halfway point, they really picked it up, and then it just didn't stop from there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think like any kind of action romance kind of movie, they always started off kind of slow. It could have
That's
been a
fair.
little slower, I think. Kind of seeing, they're given tasks to like go around the perimeter, check the ammo on the turrets and everything. It would have been nice to see them doing that more, and kind of give us a more insider look into their day to day and what it's like and how lonely it really can be.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, that wasn't really what the movie was about. Um,
That is true. Yeah,
you know,
I gotta
that's
remember
just me
that.
being that's just me being nitpicky, and but yeah, I think they did a good job with the pacing.
Mm.
Once it ramped up, it didn't really slow down, which I enjoyed.
Mm.
Um, there wasn't like a huge action sequence and then slow and then ramp back up. It kind of started going and it kind of kept its foot on the pedal for most of it.
Hmm. Um, and I think I'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but I like that there were certain elements of the plot that maybe weren't fully talked about. And I know you might be able to stop and be like, oh, well, that's a plot hole. I don't think so. I think it's more so elements that I think, like with Commander Shaw as a Hollow Man, I think there's elements that leave it up to the viewer's interpretation that I really liked.
Yeah, and
Um,
I also like from the point of view of if you really look into it, these characters have no idea what the hell they're even doing there.
no, no, but
We as the viewer are kind of following them along in a sense of like we don't really know what's going on either. And I don't think we're really meant to know the whole extent of it.
no, I agree. One thing I do remember thinking throughout the movie was that I really liked that neither of the characters were idiots. They were both
Yes.
smart, capable, hit their shots when they needed to hit them because they're snipers. So if they were missing shots that are like 10 meters away, then I'm gonna like raise my eyebrow at them. You know what I mean? But no, they were competent, hitting great shots, fighting well. Neither of them were like useless.
Yeah, and I think that's a trope that like Hollywood in general needs to start moving away from
Hmm.
is like we were introduced to these two characters that clearly are top of the class in their professions, and then like most movies, shit hits the fan and all of a sudden they have like no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, like they'll make
Um,
the male main character who is super competent suddenly like a himbo. So the
yeah,
for the girl boss, or they'll make the girl a damsel in distress, and even though
right.
she's just as competent, and I don't think either of those are good. Like I mean, they
And
have their place,
and
but not in this, which I'm happy they
yeah,
didn't do it.
and they didn't do it with this movie. They gave us two badasses from the start. They're like, okay, these two are badasses,
Mhm.
and they rolled with it the whole time. And they were both really good at bouncing off of each other without uh, either of them slipping up.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. The dialogue I think was really good. A lot of it was visual, but ultimately, I like their flirting and I like their banter. I think
Yeah, I agree.
it's not so much dialogue, but it's more writing. But I really had a good laugh with the scene where she steals his clothes after giving them to him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
makes him have
that
to
was
run
good.
out just so she can get a peek.
Yeah,
But I liked that.
and yeah, like you said, it's more visual. Um, they're written as two people who don't really talk with other people. They don't communicate outside of their profession, really, especially Levi. Um,
I'm a
and
lone
I think the
wolf.
dialogue with that was written really well. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, the whoever was writing it, um, shout out to them because they kind of got it down.
Let me just take a peek real here. I want to say his name was Dean. Zach Dean was the writer for that.
Zach Dean, shout out to Zach Dean.
Shout out to Zach Dean. Absolutely. Um, I think visually it was great. I think it was a movie that obviously had a
Oh
lot of
my God.
CGI, and maybe it was a lot of practical effects. I honestly I didn't look, but I think it looked good from the gorge to the watchtowers, which are probably more practical and everything like that. But the Hollow Men, one thing that I really did like is as a really big fan of the Legend of Zelda, there's an enemy in that's been in there for literally decades called Skulltulas, who are just giant spiders with giant skulls on their back.
Mm.
And this is probably the closest thing I'll ever see to Skulltulas in live action. And to me, that was awesome.
And they looked great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like if I was watching a Legend of Zelda movie and that's how they looked, I would be so happy because it's literally they're in like almost every game. Well, they're in a good chunk of games in different
Yeah.
variations, and so I was like, those are straight up Skulltulas.
And I mean,
Um,
the scene, later on towards the end of the movie where you kind of see, I don't want to spoil anything,
I think
but
at this point, people are watching
yeah,
for the
you
spoiler
kind of
parts, you know.
you kind of see some of the people that have been down there. They're all like connected together by whatever these tendrils are and stuff, and it's like vibrant yellow, and they're walking through it, and it was just, I mean, it was a treat to look at. It
Mm,
wasn't hard on the eyes. It was really, really, really nice to see. I mean, it looked great.
it did. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Music. What do you think about the music, bud? What do you think about it?
I think it was
Soundtrack
good.
and music.
I I think it was really good. The soundtrack was good. There was a couple oldies in there.
Hmm.
Um, and when the action started going, the kind of techno music they had going on, I think it paired really well with the scenarios that the characters were in.
I think you talked on it a little bit earlier, but there were certain moments where they weren't afraid, like some movies in Hollywood are. They weren't afraid to uh, let things be silent or quiet.
Yeah.
They weren't
Yep.
afraid to cut noise, which a lot of movies I feel like are nowadays. Like they always want
Yeah,
some
a lot
background
of
noise or
movies
everything like
there
that.
there has to be like some sort of music or sounds playing. And like actually we'll lead that into the standout moments. For me, personally, I think my favorite scene in the whole movie was they're both, dancing from their towers or whatever. She's like booming on the boombox
Hmm.
and she immediately rips the cords out and everything just goes dead silent.
Yeah, it definitely adds to
And
it.
in the shadows on his side of the wall, you can kind of just see one of the hollow men making his way up, but he's like fading in and out of the shadows. And that was really well done. And I don't think it would have been as great if there was some sort of background noise going on.
Yeah, like the typical like suspense music, like
Yeah.
that droning sound. I don't. I think that would have
It,
been too
it
much of
kind
a
of
warning. They
it
wanted
put
you to
you in
feel
the
in there.
shoes almost where you're kind of like, because if you're looking at it from Levi's point of view, she just cut her music and she's looking
At him.
terrified over
Yeah.
there. And you see him slowly making his way up the wall, and that was our first introduction to the Hollow Man.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that obviously that's a credit to Scott Derrickson for directing for that
Yeah,
choice. But you got to give credit to Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for the music. And, the cinematography, Dan Lawson as well. Just shouting out
yeah, they
them.
did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think another standout moment for me, and I'm not sure if it was on purpose or something like that, but speaking on music still, with standout moments, Draza plays Blitzkrieg Bop, and now I'm not entirely sure about the background of the song or where it came from, but given the language of it all and everything like that, I'm assuming it's Western. But she's supposed to be from the Eastern half of the hemisphere, Eastern Bloc countries that don't exactly get along with the West. So I wonder if her having a song like Blitzkrieg Bop on vinyl is either past communications with the other Watchtower,
Hmm.
breaking the rules in the past and we just don't know it, or
Yeah,
if it's a hint that they weren't really working for the East and West governments because they're both supplied by the same entity. What was it?
Dark
Something
Lake, I
Dark Lake.
think.
Yeah, Dark Lake. Yep. So I wonder if her having
Yeah,
that sort of
I
music might have hinted early on that it wasn't actually a government unity thing. It was a private venture, like it ended up being.
yeah, I didn't even think of that until now. You're probably onto something.
I might be that, or they just wanted a good song because that is a really good song.
It is a good song.
I really liked All Along the Watchtower as well. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah,
That was
That was good.
that was a perfect song for it. Like if now that I'm thinking about it, if they had this movie and they didn't um include All Along the Watchtower, I probably would have been upset.
Yeah, that was a good song. That was probably
Hmm.
the perfect song,
Yep. Yep.
especially this scenario where it was playing.
Hmm. So is there
What
anything
worked for you?
what worked for me?
Yeah.
Um, you know what? I know I said it earlier. I'm not a big Anya Taylor-Joy person, but they work for me. The actors work for me. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, they got me involved, invested. I loved the romance. I wanted to see them succeed, and so obviously I think the actors themselves work for me. They sold me. They sold me from a position of really being not wanting to see literally half the cast to enjoying every moment of them.
Yeah.
I did like the concept. I think you did as well, right?
Yeah, I thought it was unique.
Mm.
As far as movies these days go, I feel like a lot of stuff is reused or recycled, or they kind of plagiarize stuff and put a tiny little spin on it. But I gotta say, I don't think I've really ever seen anything like this movie, like the concept of it.
Mm.
Um, I guess it probably has taken inspiration from other stories, but just overall the concept of it seemed original to me, and it seemed unique, and it had me hooked.
I gotta say, partly through it, I felt like it was a little bit similar to 65 from 2023, starring Adam Driver. But I guess
Hmm.
more that I think about it, not really. I guess he was keeping an eye on a young girl. I think it's more of just that sci-fi in the woods element for me.
Yeah.
That's drawing the parallel. But other than that, they're not that similar. But I felt like influence wise, maybe close.
Hmm. So
But
we
they're
talked
not the
about what
same.
worked. Was there anything that you thought there were any shortcomings or pacing issues, or what didn't work?
I think I touched upon it earlier. I definitely would have liked to see more of their day to day,
Hmm.
or at least learned more about the previous operators. I know they're not absolutely integral to the story and everything like that, but
Yeah.
I think just some more lore and everything like that would have been nice. There was plenty, of course. I mean, they got right down to the bottom of what was going on in the gorge. Um, but I think I would have also liked if they hinted at and maybe I missed it, hinted at and or showed us that there was other sites similar to the gorge
Mm.
to set up like sequels or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think you wanted some sequels too, right? Like
I think it'd be cool.
you'd be interested in another one.
Um, yeah. What didn't work for me?
Hmm.
I agree. I would have liked to see more of the day to day. Um, but it also, not that it's a huge deal, but it kind of felt like the ending sequence felt a tiny bit rushed.
Okay.
Um, Kind
Yeah.
of like how they made this big discovery that the Dark Lake Corporation was involved
Mm.
all along.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the ball rolls immediately to like ending it pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, it would have been cool, and I think there could have been some opportunities for setting up a sequel. Um,
I think
like you said, with other sites, that would have been cool if they kind of did a little bit of research and found like Dark Lake has, there's another gorge,
or just other facilities in general. Maybe
out
there's a
or other
water-based one
facilities that
or
they're doing testing on or something.
yeah, I think maybe
It
like
would
they
have
could
been
have
cool.
done water or space or anything like that. Might be
Yeah.
cool
I mean,
scenarios.
we could have got a cool cliffhanger or a teaser at the end.
Yeah. But at the same
Especially
time,
with
like,
like, oh, go ahead.
no, no, I was gonna say I think it works as a solo standalone movie, but I would
Yeah.
want more. I want more.
Yeah. And that could also go into what made it a pretty good movie is that they did well with ending it, and they make you want more. And that's kind of, sometimes it's okay to leave it alone at that, to leave it off on a good note.
Yeah. Um. So with that, did you would you recommend this to anybody watching? Would you recommend this film? Would you rewatch it?
I would rewatch it,
Mm-hmm.
and after so I would definitely rewatch. Well, I wouldn't rewatch it with the same eyes I watched it with the first time.
Okay. Do you think you'd
I think
probably look for
in
stuff like I mentioned with like the
yeah,
Blitzkrieg Bop,
I,
like hints?
yeah, stuff like that, or even like I noticed like a couple times there was probably stuff moving in the background that we probably missed
Oh,
because we were so focused on the forefront. So I would even go back and watch and just kind of peek my eyes to the background and see if there's any, you know, hints or teasers into what was coming up next.
you were watching the forefront. I was watching the palm of my hand because I'm a big baby. So like if I felt like the tension was going up, dude, but no, I mean I was okay throughout the most of it. So I was good. I was good. It
Yeah,
wasn't as scary as
it
I
wasn't
thought.
too scary.
No, no, it wasn't. It
There was a
wasn't.
couple scenes where I'm like, this is a little creepy, especially that whole church scenario with the spiders.
Oh
But
yeah, you got that bad arachnophobia.
yeah, yeah, I'm not a big spider fan.
That was probably the only instance where like I was sitting there with a smile and you were just like, ugh.
I'm like, I don't know about this.
So, um, I really enjoyed it. I would rewatch it. Um, if I wanted to maybe just hang out with some friends and want some background noise, or just introduce them to a little film that they might not have seen, rather than like the big name action movies of the day, I'd go with The Gorge. I think that's pretty good. I'd rewatch it. I'd
Yeah,
recommend it.
I'd definitely put it back on for sure.
Hmm. So, Bud, if you had to give it a rating, how would you rate it?
Um, yeah, I'd give it 4 out of 5 swords
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of, you know, obviously this movie wasn't a masterpiece.
No,
Um,
but not
but
every movie
for
is.
the genre, for the action, the comedy, the horror, and the acting, um, I'd give it 4 out of 5. Really, I mean, it was a good movie. It kept my attention the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
which is rare these days, really. So yeah, I'll stick it
Um,
up there with 4.
I think I'm pretty close to you. I think I'm maybe 3.5 to 4 hoots out of 5.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, it's rewatchable. It's enjoyable. I'd like more of it. I'd love to see them again. Or if it's another location, I'd be okay with seeing new actors as long as they bring the same dedication and enjoyment that these did. I think the film really
Yeah,
benefited from having a very small cast that they could really focus on these two. They
yeah,
they
I
had great
agree.
chemistry. Honestly, that's straight up just it.
Yep,
Um,
100%.
so I'd love to hear what anybody watching might have thought about the movie, what they might think about what we could change on the channel, or their most memorable scenes, or anything that we talked about. Is there
Yeah,
anything?
and if you have any other movie recommendations that we
Hmm,
should watch, uh, and you want us to review, we're more than happy to take recommendations and we'll watch them as soon as we can and
no, we won't. No,
make
I'm just
reviews on
kidding.
'em.
No. We do want to hear your recommendations. So please send them. We'd love to see them. So, Bud, I introduced us. Would you like to sign us off a little bit?
Yeah. Um, I think this being our first video,
Yeah.
um, it's a pretty big one.
Hmm.
Uh,
Welcome to the
should
channel.
we give them a little bit of background on us?
Um, we'll give a little bit, I think. We can also make a channel trailer. We're really
It's true.
discussing the channel in the video. Yeah.
But regardless, we're just two best friends. We've been best friends for a long time, and we've always enjoyed watching movies together.
Hmm.
And we decided, I mean, we sit there and we review them on Letterboxd all day. We might as well take it to YouTube and really give in-depth reviews and gives us a chance to really talk about how we feel about them.
Yeah,
And
and
if you guys like what you're watching, definitely like and subscribe. We decided to start this as kind of a fun thing for the both of us, but we'd love to grow it and move it forward.
yeah, like he said, we've been best friends for years. We're cinephiles, but we're cool cinephiles. We're not like stick ups our asses. Um,
Yeah,
we're the cool kind, not the usual kind. So if you guys
we
always
just like the
want,
movies.
we do. Yeah, we like movies. We like a lot of stuff. Maybe we'll even dip into book reviews. So keep an eye out for that if you're a book guy, book nerd, book page. I don't know. Anyway, As you can see over where we're talking on the bottom right of our nameplates is also a QR code, which will lead you to our letterbox profiles, where you can actually read our written reviews that usually come out right as or right after we finish watching a movie. So if you want some sneak peek into our thoughts on a movie that's coming up, you might be able to see it there. Or you can see what our favorite movies are or just reviews we've had in the past. So that's down there. Our usernames are also there if you want to look us up on Letterboxd. We encourage you to do so. Um, and that's all I've got, I think.
I think that's all I got. So
Thank you for watching.
I'll leave you guys with a thank you for watching and tune in for the next review.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next
See
one.
you later.
Peace.